Hi everybody and welcome to Module 1. I always try to make a module opening video like this one where I talk about what you're going to do in the video. In this case, for the first sort of official module of the year, of the semester, I made an actual PowerPoint and I have the points listed to the side. But in the future, I want you to actually use the module checklist. That's what I normally go by, is the checklist, but I thought I would PowerPointize the checklist for this one and see if that helps communicate a little bit better as you continue to kind of get oriented to the class. I also realized sort of an ongoing dream that I've had where I create like a little icon, kind of like this truck that you're looking at. I'm actually supposed to be inside of a truck, like an 18-wheeler kind of truck, and imagine that. I mean, it's really silly, I know, but I've created this little image and put my head inside of it, and I couldn't control how narrowly the webcam focused on my face, so I'm disappointed in the outcome, but anyway, I'm playing with a little tech idea here as well. So bear with me and my corniness. Alright, so in each module you've got a checklist that opens up the module. And that checklist tries to keep in mind every detail that you need to be minding over the course of that module. I do my best to try to think of everything you need to have, but at the same time not inundate you. There's more that I could include in checklists that I try not to. Believe it or not, I try to keep these things simple. But you always want to use the checklist. It's displayed through a wiki page, and one of the first items in the module says, if you can't, it says something like about working through this module, and it gives you tips on how to make sure that that page displays. If you have any trouble seeing content in modules, you need to make sure that you go up to the top and you do what it tells you to do if you're having any trouble with viewing content. The content's supposed to show, but due to a glitch, due to a number of factors, web browsers, Blackboard, and a little glitch with the wiki spaces on campus, we can't always see them, but I have a fix for it, so make sure you can. So the checklist is displayed through a wiki page. And what I advise you to do is to print that checklist and then mark it up with your notes and track yourself and your progress through the module. The first thing I recommend that you do is that you make sure maybe in the first 3 to 4 days of the module that you go in and you assess big picture what it is you have to achieve in that module. You don't have to do everything, and you don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed. Just look at it. Say, I'm going to get an idea of what I have to do. And know that it's going to be a lot. You're going to get your money's worth, okay? You're going to get lots of experiences, and you're going to learn a lot this semester. But there's some work to be done on your way to learning. So just tell yourself, I'm going to take an hour maybe, to figure out what I have to do. And then what you want to do is figure out, okay, I know what I have to do big picture, more or less. I have a clue. And then mark off on your checklist, put little dates on there by when you're going to do various things. I also recommend that if you have a project during the module, which you do in every module, that you actually go in and at least scan the instructions. Do that early on as well so that you kind of have an idea of what all is involved in the projects that happen each module. Okay? But you need to protect yourself from the overload that can come when you are an online learner. You need to, if it involves just shutting, you know how on the left side of this module, of every module, you have little plus and minus signs where you can actually collapse different areas of the module and not see them all. Just open up the piece that you need to work on and don't worry about the rest of it. Do that after you've assessed the whole thing. Alright, so one of the first things in the module checklist is it talks about the face-to-face sessions that are coming up. Let's see. Anyway, they're coming up. They're later in January. I can't remember now without having it in front of me. But you want to read about them, and if you think you're going to come to one, you're going to want to sign up. The purpose of that session is to teach you how to use Audacity, which is a program we use to podcast. I'll teach you how to upload the podcast and publish it on the web and put it in your wiki page and how to submit that assignment. We won't necessarily get the assignment done in that session. We probably won't, unless you actually do the first half of the assignment ahead of time and you know exactly what you want to record in your podcast. You could do that. You could get it done, but that requires that you do some extra work. Extra work before you come to the face-to-face session. If you have any doubts about your technology abilities, you want to come to one of those face-to-face sessions. And there's some introductory steps that you'll need to complete prior to coming. So visit the page where I talk about the face-to-face sessions, and it has all that information, including what you'll want to do before you come in. Alright, so the big project this module is the Wiki Foundation assignment. Through this assignment, you're going to build an electronic portfolio. So that portfolio will display your work that you complete this semester. That portfolio can be put into TK20, which is another electronic portfolio. And throughout life, we have many portfolios, like both in our personal and professional lives. I mean, we have portfolios within portfolios. We're always doing work in various areas of our lives. You know, whether it's painting a room in your house, you know, or that might not be a good example, but you make things in life. So some people may wonder, well, why don't we just use TK20? Well, for one thing, right now I haven't been informed that anything in this class officially goes into TK20, but you know, you're going to make a smaller portfolio of work in this class that can actually be uploaded to TK20, and I give you more information about that later in the semester. If you're curious about it now, though, I can release that information immediately. In fact, I probably should. I have a little quiz that you take. Basically, you open up a quiz in this class. It's for extra credit. And then you watch me talk about taking care of your work, how you archive it, how you back it up, how you save it in case it's needed for TK20. And I can release that immediately for extra credit. And that will kind of, you know, allay any worries you might have about TK20 in this class. So I need to do that. If you're interested, send me an email so I'll do it more quickly. So what you're going to do through the Wiki Foundation assignment is you're going to build the foundation for your electronic portfolio for this class. So the wiki that you're going to create a new blank wiki, and you're going to copy, mimic, or imitate. I'm intentionally redundant there. My wiki. I have a wiki that I have built, and I want you to copy it into yours. I want you to have the same navigation bar, the same 9 or 10 pages, same links on the navigation, and you're going to put it onto your page, onto your wiki. For example, one of the pages that you'll make through the Wiki Foundation assignment is called Readings. So throughout the semester, over the next 6 or 7 weeks, you'll actually respond to some questions on that Readings page. And then you'll turn it in later. When you're done with the Readings page, you'll actually submit that page through Dropbox in about 6 weeks. That's one of the pages you'll make. You're going to copy the text I have on my Readings page, for example, and put it on your own blank Readings page and save, and then you'll have the exact same thing, the same structure, template. In addition to copying my sort of blank wiki, it's not blank, but my empty wiki, it doesn't have any artifacts in it, any work. No work has been done in it, but it's got, you know, the structure so the work can begin to be done in it if I wanted to. In addition to that, you're going to do a few extra things, like you're going to introduce yourself on the front page, and then you're going to turn it in. Now I want to make a point that the videos, I have video tutorials where I walk you through how to do this. Those are a little bit outdated. Those are from fall of 2011. And I don't think I'm going to have time to remake them for this semester, and I normally don't. I normally don't make them new for each semester, but I just kind of always try to make the point that the videos are slightly outdated. So what you want, but what is up to date is the actual wiki that I direct you to, the wiki that is the example. That's completely up to date for spring 2012. That's what you want your wiki to look like. My example wiki that you're copying is located at wikifoundation.wikispaces.com. That's provided in the instructions, so you don't have to write that down right now. But I just want to kind of emphasize that you use those videos to learn how to do the concepts, to do the actions that you need to do to complete the assignment. But you don't necessarily type the exact same thing. For example, in the videos, one of the pages that you make is called Groupits. Well, that was a fall 2011 assignment. That is not a spring 2012 assignment. So you want to make sure, again, that your wiki is based on the actual living template or example that I have on the web at wikifoundation.wikispaces.com. So I think I've repeated myself enough so I can move on. Sorry, I do that sometimes. I think my father taught me how to do that. You just kind of repeat yourself about 3 times, and it's a little bit obnoxious. But anyway, so you want to carefully choose your wiki domain and your level of privacy. So I talk in there about the 2 different kinds of wiki domains we can use. There's one on the UWG Wikispaces domain, and then there is the outside Wikispaces domain, and each one has its pros and cons, so you want to make sure you choose that carefully, and also determine what level of privacy you're comfortable with. It could be that you only want me in your wiki, and that you only want me reading the things in there. That's fine. That's one way to have privacy. Another way to have privacy is to give yourself a pseudonym and not put your name on anything, your full name, and not put your picture on anything, and make sure that, you know, there's different ways you can do it. So you'll want to determine how you want to do that. If you use a pseudonym, you have to tell me what it is, and you'll want to stick with it for the rest of the semester. And there's certain assignments, for example, the digital movie assignment that gets posted on YouTube or Vimeo or somewhere. Well, that's another area where you decide your level of privacy. You can make your video private and only let me see it. So even though things are published on the web, you can still make it all private and locked down. So be deciding how you want to handle that. Most people have their stuff just kind of floating out there publicly, and we haven't seemed to have a problem with that, but it is up to you, and now is the time to make that decision. All right, so there's a page on your wiki. So I kind of made reference to this specific page called Readings, but there's another page that I want to just mention right now. It's called My Tech Integration, and this page, you'll want to complete it as a part of your final portfolio at the end of the semester. But it's never exactly assigned during one of the given modules. It's an ongoing thing, really. Some of you are going to wait till the very end to do it, but I want to kind of encourage you to take care of it as in an ongoing fashion. So it's due at the end of the semester. You want to make sure you kind of complete it as you go. Now here are the main things that this page is trying to do. It's trying to collect some of the big ideas about technology integration that I hope you'll get through readings in the course and through other things in the modules. And so because it's going to be hard if you wait until April to actually fill it out, because you won't remember a lot of this stuff. For example, it's got about 4 or 5 different little areas. One of the questions that I want you to answer on that page is what forces pressure schools and teachers to integrate technology. Now in this module we're going to do some readings both in the chapter 1 of Roblyer that I'm going to talk about in a minute and in the discussion board. There's a couple of readings you're going to do that help you answer that very question. So that question will continue to be answered, but actually it's best answered with the stuff in this module. So you might take the time to answer it now. What are the pros and cons of technology integration? A lot of the readings in this module can help you answer that. You can pull them, pull them straight out of the readings, put them in your own words, of course. You don't have to. There's not necessarily the right answer. I want you to put the answer that you think. What are the pros that you see and the cons that you see? So you're going to have a little T-chart and a collection of pros and cons, and I want you to continue to work on that throughout the semester. What are essential conditions that I can influence? So essential conditions are a list of about 12 different things that some folks think are necessary for successful and sustainable technology integration to take place in schools. I put a link to those essential conditions. You can read over those. That might be something you wait a month or two to tackle. You maybe want to think about that one, but that's another question that I want you to answer by the end of the semester. And then I have a big chart of technology integration strategies. They come from chapter 2 of the Roblyer textbook that you'll be reading in a few weeks. So they're specific technology integration strategies. It's a really low-level task that you have to achieve with this table. Basically, I want you to find specific tools in your area and hyperlink to them. So there's 3 different areas. There's directed strategies. That's like direct teaching. There's constructivist strategies, and then there's mixed. And I want you to go check it out on the page, but those, so you want to be thinking, like if you're an English teacher, is there a tool that you can use to meet one of these strategies for direct instruction, for constructivist kinds of instruction, and for mixed? And what does all that mean? Well, when you read chapter 2 of Roblyer, it'll make a little more sense. So that's not urgent yet, but be thinking about this page as you work this semester, because it's something you can get done along the way. All right, so Roblyer chapter 1 reading will give you an overview. So you're going to read chapter 1 of a book. You're going to download this chapter as a PDF, and this will give you an overview of recent history of educational technology. It'll attempt to answer the question, why do you integrate technology? That's around pages 13 through 16, and that actually will come in handy for the Module 1 discussion as well. So be paying attention to that section and see which of those items you actually, which of those items perhaps compels you. What are issues with EdTech research? There's some problems with the research, the way it's currently framed. And there's problems with educational research in general that EdTech research has in common with the larger overarching body of ed research. What are some issues with the use of educational technology in schools? And what are some upcoming trends? So that's what this book chapter will try to help you get, is that kind of big picture of educational technology from history all the way to into the present and into the future. After you read that chapter 1, you're going to want to do a reading response. Remember when I was talking earlier during the Wiki Foundation explanation how you're going to create a page called Readings well, you're going to want to do you want to answer 2 questions on that page. You will have set up that page. That page will then have a few questions for 3 different chapters that you're reading this semester. And so you're going to want to respond to the Chapter 1 questions only. Don't respond to the Chapter 2 questions of Roblyer or the UBD Chapter 1. Every semester, about 20% of students think they have to read all of those in this module, and you don't. You only had to read Chapter 1. So you'll take care of those other chapters in a few weeks. And then you're going to submit this whole readings page as one assignment for the grade for all 3 chapters at the end. Like when, by the end, I mean when that last reading is done, the UBD chapter, that's when it'll be due. Probably at the end of Module 3, I think. And you can look on the course plan and double check. So that's when that will be due. So don't worry about turning it in just yet. You just need to put your stuff on the wiki page. All right, so that kind of explains Roblyer Chapter 1 reading. You also have a Module 1 discussion. So discussion this module. You want to complete it after the Roblyer Chapter 1 reading. It's going to also include a short and concise reading by David and Cuban. It's a really great treatment of technology in education. It really boils it down and does a pretty good job of giving a balanced view on technology integration. They really try not to come out in pro or in con of it. So do read that, and then you want to make your initial post. I gave you a pretty simple little prompt that you want to respond to. That's due by the 2nd Thursday of the module. Now that's contrary to class discussion policy. I hate confusing you. I hate going against what the policy is. The policy is that you have to post by the 1st Thursday. But in this module, it makes more sense to give you 10 days to do your readings, because I want you to do the post after you've done the Roblyer Chapter 1 reading and then the little reading that's inside of the discussion board. So I'm going to give you till that 2nd Thursday of the module, okay, to get the first post up. So first post up is due by the 2nd Thursday of the module, and then you want to do at least 2 follow-ups to peers. All right, be sure that you get your webcam squared away, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you want to revisit the orientation module, item 3.3. You need this webcam for the podcast that's coming up, as well as Progress Video Journal 1. So I hope that you enjoy Module 1. It's a lot at first. I'm actually giving you more information and trying to talk to you more in the beginning, and then you'll find that these intro videos actually get shorter. They're usually about 5 or 6 minutes long max, because I just need to make sure that you have everything you need and that I'm really over-explaining things and perhaps a bit redundant, perhaps a bit too obvious in my explanations in the beginning, because I don't want anybody to get, terribly behind or confused in the beginning. I want you to get a good pattern established from the beginning, and you'll find that my class is pretty consistent. This, the way things are set up and laid out, I try to have a really consistent, simple structure for the class, and I think you're going to find it pretty organized. I think the main problem will be getting overwhelmed. For some of you, if you're not good at technology, or if you're not, and I hate to put it that way, but if you're not experienced with it, then a lot of people that aren't experienced, they get overwhelmed more easily, and I think that they get the sensation that they're working through all these steps, but if they had to repeat it on their own, they couldn't, and they get a little bit lost in all of the details, and there's a lot of details, and I know that. So just be prepared. I know that that's the way it goes. If you need some help from me, if you think a phone conversation or Skype call, direct one-on-one, or a face-to-face meeting would help, let's do that. I'm here to help, so just let me know what questions or comments or concerns that you have as you work through the module. Use that group discussion board. If you hit the discussions button, you'll see there's a general questions thing, and not only can I help you there, but your peers can help you as well. It's a good little board for just kind of making sure that your concerns are addressed. You might post your question there as well as in the private email to me as well. Also, I'll be revealing the assignments button soon. I always hide it in the first couple of modules because I want people to know they need to go through the modules and they shouldn't go directly to like the assignments and the assessments and the discussions, because then you'll miss a bunch of stuff that you need. And then they'll have a lot of questions that don't need to happen if you just go through the module. So the assignments button, for those of you that have worked in Course Dim before, you'll know what I'm talking about. The rest of you, don't worry about it. It'll appear probably in Module 2. All right. Thank you so much.